Should the Chicago Bears sign Julio Jones? Can Eddie Jackson have a bounce back season playing next to Jaquan Brisker? I'll be answering those questions and more from you guys in this mailbag video right here. What's going on, guys? I'm back with another Chicago Bears offseason mailbag discussion video where I'll be answering your questions that you guys gave me in the community tab post I made a couple days ago. I've been doing this for the past 3 weeks. It's had good amount of success. Decent amount of people have been watching every single week, so I thought, why not continue this series? Okay, I might even do this into the regular season because you guys have great questions every single week, and I'm not able to make videos, on each of these topics every single day. So why not just answer them all in a mailbag video once per week? So if you guys want to do this in the future, definitely let me know down below in the comments. I'll probably keep on doing this, like I said, in the next few weeks, next few months as well. But next week is training camp, guys. So I'll be having daily uploads covering Bears training camp practices starting Tuesday. I'll also be at training camp on Thursday. Definitely maybe Friday as well. So if you guys see me at training camp, definitely say hi. But you can expect a lot of videos, a lot of content covering those practices like I give you guys every single year. There's going to be a lot to talk about, especially this year, right? Because we have so many new players all over the roster. We have a brand new coaching staff. It's going to be a lot of fun talking about that. But let's just get into this video. Okay, let's start answering your questions. And question number 1, G Station 7, what free agent would you want the Bears to add this year? I'm still hoping that they sign Julio Jones. So yes, I actually made a video about this a couple weeks ago where I went over some of the remaining free agents that they wanted the Bears to sign. I'll link that down below if you guys want to see that. But Julio was one of the guys that I was hoping the Bears can still sign this offseason. I don't think it's very likely because I think he wants to go to a contender, an older team, which the Bears definitely are not this year. Like, we're a young, rebuilding team that probably doesn't have a chance at the Super Bowl this year. So probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense for Julio to want to come here. But we do have, around $20 million in cap space for this offseason, which ranks 4th in the NFL currently. So we can pay Julio as much money really as he wants this season. And maybe if he wants one last payday, even if he's not going to go to a really great team, maybe he would accept coming to the Chicago Bears. And if he did, guys, why would you not want Julio Jones? I totally get he's getting older, he's getting injured, he's not the same Julio he used to be, but he would be an immediate upgrade overnight. I mean, he would give the Chicago Bears that big body X receiver that they need, that they don't currently have. We have guys with potential, obviously. We traded for N'Keal Harry, we got Equanimeous St. Brown in free agency, but both of those players are far from proven things. They've done nothing so far in the NFL. Julio Jones is one of the best receivers of all time. Okay, I know he's probably not going to be healthy for a full 17 games, but if he's only healthy for, say, 9 or 10 games, would you guys not accept those 9 or 10 games? I mean, we have nothing to lose. This is a rebuilding year. We have extra cash. Why not give it to Julio? I think that would be a very good fit for the Chicago Bears. Not sure if it's a good fit for Julio, but it would be a good fit for the Chicago Bears. Jake Peters asked, do you think that Eddie Jackson can have a redemption year with the addition of Jaquan Brisker? So I feel like we've been talking about Eddie Jackson hopefully having redemption years for the past 3 years, and it hasn't happened yet, right? Like, he's not had a year since 2019 that has been like above average. That's been like a really good year out of him, which is disappointing, obviously, because we paid him all that money. But yes, I think that, the loss of Adrian Amos, it was a big freaking loss with that defense, right? Because he complemented Eddie Jackson so perfectly. He could play in the box. He was a great tackler. He was physical. He was a great run defender, all the things that Eddie Jackson isn't necessarily the best at doing. So, Eddie Jackson over the past 3 seasons, he's had to play a lot more in the box. If you look at his snaps, his stats and his position by position snaps, he's been taking a lot more snaps in the box over the past 2 or 3 years. And yes, he's whiffed on some tackles because he's not the best tackler, guys. I mean, I think Eddie Jackson would admit he's not the best tackler. He's more of a guy that can play out there, back deep and be a great zone safety, be a guy that's flying all over the field, silent to silent, and making plays out there in coverage. He's not necessarily going to be a guy that's going to knock the hell out of the running backs in the backfield. So I think that with Jaquan Brisker, in my opinion, is the closest thing to Adrian Amos we have had over the past 3 years. He can play well in the box. He can tackle. He can be physical at the line of scrimmage. He's a hard hitter as well. And I think that his coverage skills, honestly, are better than those of Adrian Amos. Okay, I'm not trying to disrespect Amos, but coming out of college, Amos was not the best in coverage. He played a lot more in the box. I feel like Jaquan Brisker can play back deep if he has to in coverage. And he's proven that during his time in college football. I mean, he was great out there in coverage for the most part. So I think that this should, on paper, be another perfect, complement to Eddie Jackson's skill sets. Okay, you got Jaquan Brisker, the hard hitting, strong safety. You got Eddie Jackson, the guy is going to roam around deep middle and do what he does in coverage. And with Eberflus, his cover two scheme, he should be taking advantage of what Eddie Jackson does the best. So I'm thinking he should have a nice bounce back year. I'm not sure if it's going to be as good as 2018 because that was one of the best seasons in the history of football for any safety. So that's probably hard to replicate, but if he can have a season close to 2019, I think a lot of us Bears fans would be happy with that. Roger asks, do you think that Poles will draft a quarterback next season if Fields shows no improvement this season, even though he has no help around him? That's a really good question because I've thought about it myself, okay? That this is definitely the worst case scenario. Like, I don't think this is going to happen because I have all the faith in the world in Justin Fields. The entire Bears fan base does. It seems like the front office does as well. So I truly think there's no chance this will happen. But if Fields actually has, maybe a worse year even than last year, if he regresses even, if he doesn't show any improvement whatsoever, which I know the roster around him is so extremely bad, okay? It's completely unproven, especially on the offensive side of the football. But if he shows no improvement whatsoever, then yes, there is a chance that the Bears do draft a quarterback next year. As much as I hate to say it, there is a strong quarterback class at the top, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, but again, I think the chances of this happening are just really extremely low because I do think the front office is pretty high on Justin Fields. I mean, Ryan Poles has stressed that over and over again. Luke Getsy, Matt Eberflus, they have talked about how high they are on Justin Fields, how they all have the belief he's their franchise quarterback, but obviously if he doesn't improve in any plays at all, okay, if he doesn't improve in getting the ball out quicker, if he doesn't improve with the fumbling issue, if he just regresses even than last year, then yes, there is a chance that he could be gone, okay, because that's the NFL. If you don't produce, then you're out of here. But I don't think that's happening, okay? Justin Fields, even if he doesn't have a great season, he will show enough to the Chicago Bears to keep him into 2023 and beyond. Peyton M, how do you feel about 2021-2022 Eagles comparison to this year's team? Both started with very low expectations with a new coach and second-year quarterback that showed flashes the year prior. So yeah, Peyton, I've made this comparison myself, okay? At the very high end this year, I think the Chicago Bears could be last year's Eagles, okay? A team that is very young with a young quarterback, new head coach, that didn't really have many expectations, but a team that surprised people by winning 8 or 9 games, snuck into the playoffs, and although it didn't win anything in the playoffs, it was a good season, all things considered, for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I will say though that the Eagles had a much more probably proven offensive line on paper than the Bears do going into this year. Okay, the Eagles had top of the league offensive line play last year. Right now, the Bears have way too many question marks on the offensive line. If we get solid years out of Tevin Jenkins, Larry Borum, the other younger guys, and yes, it's possible to do what the Eagles did last year, but I don't think on paper we have the same level of offensive line as they did. But the receiving weapons, guys, could be somewhat similar, right? I mean, they only basically had Devontae Smith as their number one great receiver last year. Right now, we only have Darnell Mooney as our number one talented receiver. They obviously added A.J. Brown this offseason. The Eagles did, so they should be a lot better in the receiving department. But the Bears, they have question marks on the receiving core right now. But it is possible to do what the Eagles did last year if we get, improved play out of the offensive line. And if our scheming can take advantage of Justin Fields' skill set in the same way that, the Philadelphia Eagles took advantage of Jalen Hurts' skill sets. Nicholas Lopez, my daughter was just born today. Is she going to grow up being able to enjoy Sundays? I sure hope so. Bear down. Yo, first of all, congrats on your daughter being born. Okay, that's amazing. Congrats on being a father. And is she gonna grow up to enjoy Sundays? I sincerely hope so. By the time she's old enough to understand football, maybe in 6 or 7, 8 years. Hopefully the Bears are good by then. I mean, this is the Chicago Bears we're talking about, which have disappointed me my entire lifetime, but we're due for a good run in this franchise, okay? It happens to every franchise eventually, even out of pure luck. And I really think that Justin Fields, he is the guy, okay? He's the guy that we've been searching for a long time in this franchise. And if Justin Fields is the guy, then yes, she's going to have a lot of fun growing up watching Bears football. But shout out to you, man, for raising your daughter the right way as a Bears fan. All right, so these next questions I'll be going over a little bit faster because the video is already getting pretty long. Jaden Camacho, what will it take for Jalen Johnson to be cemented as a top cornerback in this league? I think it's going to take a lot more plays on the ball made by him, okay? He's a great coverage corner. He's been doing great out there the last 2 years, but he needs more interceptions, more maybe forced fumbles, big time plays that I don't think are on his highlight reel right now. So definitely get his hands on the ball. Munching on you, what sort of production do you expect from our tight end group now that the focus is on running, play action, and stretching the field? I'm expecting a big year, hopefully, out of Cole Kmet. Okay, if Cole Kmet has 750 yards, like that would be a great thing for the Chicago Bears offense, and also some touchdowns as well. He didn't have a single touchdown last year, partly because we barely got to the red zone ever as an offense, but man, he's a big body guy, very athletic too, that should be able to, have a good role in this offense. He has not performed well, as of now with the Chicago Bears, but he is still super young, 23 years old, so hopefully we get a good solid year out of Cole Kmet. Mighty Achilles, what are 3 positive things you hope to see by the end of the new season? Number 1, definitely Justin Fields taking a step forward in his development. Number 2, having at least one offensive lineman break out into being really good. One of our young offensive linemen. Hopefully that's, Tevin Jenkins, because I'm a huge Tevin Jenkins fan. But at least one of them hopefully takes that next step up into being really good. And number 3 is that our defense is a top 12 unit. Okay, that's kind of a high expectation to some people, but I don't think that's too high of an expectation with how much talent we still do have on the defensive side of the football. I don't know why nobody talks about the defense anymore. Defense still matters in the NFL, and we have some young ballers on that defense. Big P90, the move from Soldier Field seems inevitable at this point. How many more seasons do you believe we have left at Soldier Field, and do you believe we can give it a proper send-off with the Super Bowl W within that time frame? So I have next to no idea how long it's actually going to take. I'm obviously not involved in the meetings that the Chicago Bears are having regarding the Arlington Heights property, but if they did already purchase a property, well, they didn't officially buy it yet, but they have the highest bid on the property. They're probably going to win the property, right? I mean, who else is going to outbid the Chicago Bears? I would think that it would probably get done within the next 7-8 years max. I mean, probably even sooner than that. I don't know how long construction is going to take. I don't know how big of a building, how big of a stadium they want to build, but I'm thinking at the very worst, by the end of this decade, we should be in Arlington Heights. And yes, I will go out on a limb and say that the Chicago Bears will win 1 Super Bowl within that time frame. Maybe in 2024, maybe 2025. I just have a big belief in Justin Fields that he is going to be that star quarterback that our franchise needed. And hopefully after 2023, when we have more draft capital, more cap space, we build a better team around Justin Fields to be in Super Bowl contention. But yes, I think we're going to win 1 in that time frame. But yeah, guys, that's going to wrap up this video. My apologies if I didn't answer your question. I'll be having more of these out in the future. Maybe not next week, because next week we'll be super busy with training camp content, but definitely in the next few weeks, few months, I'll be having more of these types of videos out for you guys so I can answer your questions. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave your comments down below. Have a good weekend, and as always, bear down.